Hello, and welcome to your OSL640 Week 11 lecture video, Part 1. So we're going to look at two command line utilities for editing text this week. We're going to start with sed, and then we're going to move on to awk. So sed is going to be the entirety of Lesson 1. Let's get underway with that. Have a look at it. So we're going to look at all of these things here. And note in the review questions, it's split up into parts this week because we have some things that are sed and some things that are awk, and it just made sense to do things that way. So sed stands for Streaming Editor, and it's particularly useful for manipulating text that's already contained within a text file, although it could come from another source and be piped in through a pipeline command. And it doesn't change the text inside the text file. It just displays the modifications on the screen. You have to add an additional option to have it write back to the original file, and use that with caution. So by default, sed will read in all of the lines of input from the file and match it against the expression, which is the address instruction here, contained within the quotes, one line at a time. The expression can be in single or double quotes. Usually you see it in single quotes, but it doesn't have to be. And this contains a couple different things. It contains the address, so the match condition, where it should match on, and the instruction. If a line matches the address, it will perform the instruction, and this supports regular expressions, which is why we learned those first a few weeks back. Now by default with sed, you get all of the lines printed once. So if you're printing, you need to include the -n, and that will suppress the default print, and you will only get the lines that you want printed if you're trying to print. If you don't include the -n with a print, you're going to get the entire file and the lines that match the expression twice. It's kind of funky that way. So for your address instruction, you can use a particular line number. So for example, line 5, which you just use as 5. You don't need line in front of it. You include a range of numbers with a comma separated, so 5, 7 would be lines 5 through 7 inclusively. You can contain a regular expression, which is contained within forward slashes. So whatever you put in here is your regex. And you can specify that the regular expression match the entire line by including the caret and the $sign. So beginning with whatever followed by whatever $sign. If no address is present, the instruction will apply to every line in the file. Some common instructions that you'll include are P for print, and you generally use that with the -n option to suppress that default print rate. D will delete or omit those lines, and again, it doesn't remove it from the file, it just removes it from the display on the screen. So think of it as kind of like cat with the ability to edit the output on the screen. Q will print the lines that match a particular address and then quit immediately. And S is used for substitution, just like you use in Vi. So you can search and replace using regular expressions. So as always, let's look at some examples, and I'll go over some examples with you once we get through these. So sed line P readme. So we're looking at the input is the readme file, whatever the contents of that are. We're matching for the expression line in lowercase. And P, it's going to print. Now, because we didn't include the -n with this, you're going to get the entire contents of the file and anything that matches on that regular expression, which is the literal line with a lowercase, you're going to get that twice. So you're going to get, if this is the contents of the file, you're going to get this is the second line twice, this is line 4 twice, and this is line 7 twice. Now, had we included the -n option, we would have only gotten those 3 lines and not the rest of it, and we would have only gotten them once. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully it will make a bit more sense when we get to some examples. So example 2 here is literally the same as the first one, more or less. We're including the -n, so we're suppressing the default print, and we're only going to print lines 3 through 6 inclusively. So we're going to get lines 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because we included the P here, or sorry, not the P, the -n with the P, we're only going to get those lines. Had we not included this, we would have gotten the entire file with these repeated twice. This one here, we have same file, sed 5q, so it's going to print the first 5 lines and then quit. It works just like a head -5, right? We're going to get those lines. Sed, we begin with an S, so we know we're doing some substitution. Slash, beginning with any single character, substitute a tab for the entire file, and that would indent the entire file, which could be a handy way to indent some text from the command line. This one could be interesting. So sed, we've got a regular expression in here, so we have 0 to 9, followed by 0 to 9, followed by 0 to 9, $sign, so the end of the line consisting of 3 digits, quit. So it will print everything in the file until we have 3 digits at the end of the line, and then it will quit. And all of the examples we've looked at have been using that with text files. You can also use this as a filter within a pipeline. So you could do, for example, an ls and then pipe that into sed. You could echo something out and pipe it into sed. You could do some more advanced usage too. The times I can think of where I've done this, I've looked at, or remind me in the lecture, or the lab, to show you this. I've piped the output of an ifconfig, which is like ipconfig in Windows, right? It shows you your IP settings for your entire system. I've piped that into a sed, and then to a cut to look for particular information from the output and isolate it so I could store it in a variable. It's a very, very powerful utility, and you can do some really, really cool stuff with it once you fully grasp its usage. And again, I don't expect you to be an expert overnight. I'm not an expert, and I've been using this for a long time. I make mistakes all the time. You've seen them. The important part is to know how things are used and where to look for help on the fly to figure it out, and be able to sort of work your way through the process of troubleshooting it and understand the basic concepts. So with all that in mind, let's have a look at some examples, shall we? So I've got, cars.txt here. And if you want to play around with these, you're certainly welcome to copy the file. It is in, I'm just going to do a cat on it, the home directory of OSL640, cars.txt. So you could cp that to dot, right, your current directory, and then play around with these examples just to see how it works. Don't worry though, you're going to get plenty of practice with this in this week's tutorial. So I'm going to clear my screen. So first off, I'm going to print And this is more or less right from the slides, just with a different source of input. Lines 3 through 6, P, cars.text. Now, because, and I'm going to note before I get into too much detail, for some reason I don't really know why sed gives me this prompt at the end of the line. I just hit enter to go past it. It's kind of annoying. So we see we got lines 3, 4, 5, and 6 twice, because we didn't include the -n, right? So we got our default print, and we got those instructions twice. So if we wanted to just isolate those lines, we use the -n to suppress our default print, and then we just get lines 3 through 6. Pretty neat. So this is going to effectively delete line 5. And we could do a range here. We could delete lines 5 through 8. So we'll see our input got a little smaller. We want to quit. Whoops. After 5 lines, so this would be the equivalent of a head, right? On cars.text. There we go. We're going to print, so we're going to use the N to suppress our default print. So we're looking for lines that match Chevy. Whoops. I missed our input. And note, whether there's a space here or not, it works the same, which is handy, I think. I'm going to do the same thing, more or less. I'm going to just modify things a bit. So I'm going to delete Chevy from the output. Now notice, because we didn't use an upper or lowercase, we didn't use any regex on that, it's specifically our lowercase there, right? Same thing, but with a Q. Whoops. Let's get that out of there. So quit as soon as you find Chevy. Gotta clear our screen. Hopefully these are kind of making somewhat sense. Now we're going to substitute 0 to 9. Whoops, missed our opening bracket. Star. Missing something there. I think I needed a double slash there. So anything beginning with a 0 to 9 with nothing. Oh, I think I know what I did. That should have been like that. So our first, any single digit will be, missed a slash. Oops. Any single digit will be replaced with an asterisk. Now if we want to do that with the whole file, we could just hit G. And there we go. We've obscured our numerical output, if you will. We could even do that on just a particular range. So we get rid of our G there. Whoops. Get rid of our G there. And we do that on lines 5 through 8. And we could even, I think, yeah, look at that. So 5 through 8, just the first one or the whole line. Could be handy, again, depending on context. And then finally, whoops. That was a little slow. So substitute 0 to 9, 0 to 9, asterisk with ampersand here. So this is a weird, well, weird as in you haven't seen it, special symbol of substituting the contents of the line in here with this around it. So there you go. Any 2 digits followed by anything, that's where we get our, we've substituted asterisks. And you could even do that with, you know, any symbol, right? This could be particularly useful if you're looking through a text file and you're trying to find a particular match, and you want to see the whole text file, but you want to see that on the screen because you want to see where that is. Just throwing it out there. Could be useful in context. And you're going to get more practice with this, of course. So, where does that leave us? Leaves us with needing our slides back. More practice. To get more practice with this, I missed an assignment 3 bit again there. Ignore that, of course. We do not have an assignment 3. You're going to work through your tutorial 11, or your week 11 tutorial. Investigation 1 will give you lots of practice with the sed utility, and that maps directly to practice questions parts A and B. So with that, good luck, take care, be safe. I will see you in part 2, which you may be watching right now, you may be watching later. It's entirely up to you. And I will see you in class on, well, later this week. So take care. Bye for now.